Chapter 11. James the Just. They began calling me James the Just long before I believed I deserved it. Jerusalem gives names quickly, sometimes out of love, sometimes mockery, sometimes hope. I accepted none of them easily. For years after my brother's death and rising, I lived quietly among the believers in the city. We gathered in homes, in courtyards, in shaded corners near the temple. We prayed often. We shared food when we could. Widows and orphans came among us because no one else noticed them long enough to care. The city changed around us. Pilgrims arrived every season carrying rumors from distant provinces. Roman banners still hung over our streets like insults nailed to the sky. Priests argued among themselves behind polished walls while beggars slept beside the temple gates. And always there was tension. People expected revolt. Some wanted swords, some wanted signs from heaven, some wanted Rome burned to the ground. Others only wanted enough bread to survive another winter. Yet my brother had spoken of another kingdom, not one carried by spears. One carried inside men first. That teaching angered many. The zealots thought us weak. Some Pharisees thought us dangerous. Priests feared losing influence over the people. Rome feared crowds no matter what they preached. Still the gatherings grew. I spent many hours in prayer within the temple courts. Some days I remained there so long my knees stiffened when I rose. The stones beneath me became familiar companions. Old merchants nodded when they passed me. Children sometimes sat nearby in silence. Even some priests who opposed us privately admitted respect. I ate little, slept little, spoke carefully. Perhaps age was already entering me early. Or perhaps sorrow ages men faster than years. People came seeking judgment in disputes. A widow cheated of inheritance, two brothers quarreling over land boundaries, a laborer denied wages, a husband furious with his wife, a young man asking whether vengeance honors God. I tried always to remember my brother's voice before answering. Not merely his words, his way. There was strength in him without cruelty, authority without pride, holiness without distance. That balance is harder than miracles. One afternoon a young fisherman approached while rain clouds gathered over the city. "Rabbi," he asked me, "what was he like before the crowds?" The question struck me harder than he knew. Before the crowds, before the healings, before the shouting, before crosses and empty tombs. I looked toward the temple walls glowing pale beneath darkening skies. He noticed people others ignored. I said quietly. The fisherman waited for more. I surprised myself by smiling. "When we were boys," I said, "he once stopped half a morning to help a lame dog pull itself from a ditch. I mocked him for it." He answered, "Suffering should never be entertainment." The young man laughed softly. "That sounds like him." "Yes," I said, "it does." Rain began falling then, tapping against stone. For a moment I was no longer an old man in Jerusalem. I was a barefoot boy in Nazareth again, watching my brother kneel in dust beside broken things as years passed. Believers from distant lands came to Jerusalem seeking guidance. Some arrived speaking strange dialects. Some carried scars from persecution. Others carried questions heavier than packs on their backs. Do we still belong among God's people? Can mercy reach us too? Will the kingdom truly come? I answered as faithfully as I could, not as a scholar trying to impress, as a witness, because I had known him. I had eaten beside him, argued with him, doubted him, and finally seen him alive after death. No philosophy can erase that. At times I wondered why my brother appeared to me at all after rising. Peter had followed him openly. John loved him fiercely. Many others had remained faithful longer than I had. But me? I had doubted, mocked, resisted. Perhaps that is why he came, because broken faith, once restored, can strengthen others who think themselves beyond hope. Still, danger thickened yearly around Jerusalem. Rome grew harsher. Revolutionary whispers multiplied in alleyways and taverns. Young men sharpened knives in secret and quoted prophets loudly. The high priesthood became more political with each passing season. Influence mattered more than holiness to many who wore sacred garments. And in the middle stood our movement, too Jewish for Rome, too dangerous for some priests, too peaceful for zealots, too certain to disappear. One evening after prayer, an elderly priest approached me privately beneath the colonnades. "You still have time," he said quietly. "To do what? To separate yourself from this." This had become the word many used instead of speaking my brother's name. I studied the old priest carefully. His eyes were tired, not cruel. "You respected him once," I said. He looked away. "I respected many things once." "Then why warn me?" "Because storms are coming to Jerusalem, and storms crush men standing in open places." I remembered another storm years earlier on Galilean waters, though I had only heard the story afterward from fishermen who still trembled describing it. My brother sleeping while waves rose, then standing, then speaking peace into chaos as though commanding servants. I looked back at the priest. "The storm has already come," I said, "and he still stands." The old man left without answering. That night sleep escaped me. I walked the rooftops beneath moonlight, listening to distant sounds of the city. Dogs barked. Soldiers laughed somewhere near the fortress. A woman sang softly while grinding grain late into the night. Ordinary sounds, yet beneath them lay unease. Empires always believed themselves eternal. Jerusalem's leaders believed the same. But corruption weakens foundations long before walls crack. I feared judgment was coming upon the city, not because God delights in destruction, because pride deafens men even when mercy stands shouting before them. Sometimes I still dreamed of Nazareth, not the miracles, not the crowds, simple things, mother kneading bread, Joseph repairing a stool near the doorway, my younger brothers arguing over olives, Jesus sitting outside at dusk, watching swallows circle the rooftops. Peaceful moments become holy once they are gone. I remember asking him once, long before any of us understood who he truly was, "Do you ever wish you had been born somewhere greater than Nazareth?" He looked genuinely puzzled. "Why? So people would know you." He smiled slightly. "God sees small places." At the time I thought the answer disappointing. Now I think kingdoms rise and fall trying to learn what he already knew. The people continued calling me James the Just. Yet if I was just at all, it was because I had spent years watching justice walk beside me, wearing dust-covered sandals. My brother never hurried past pain, never used truth as a weapon to humiliate, never confused power with righteousness. The memory of him corrected me constantly. When anger rose, I remembered his patience. When pride whispered, I remembered washing basins and carpenter's tools. When fear came, I remembered the wounds in his risen hands. Those wounds changed everything, not because they proved strength, because they revealed love stronger than death itself.